tell me what you think of Islam Makhachev. Can he fill the shoes of a George St. Pierre one day? Is it possible?
And, he's amazing. I think right now he's the best pound for pound right now.
Right now, I think the best pound for pound is probably Islam Makhachev. I mean, I was there. I witnessed his performance last Saturday. It was freaking brilliant.
GSP stunned the MMA world when he basically told Islam Makhachev's critics that they simply don't understand fighting. That bold take came right after he watched the new two-division UFC champion put on a dominant display at UFC 322, and from that moment, the conversation around Makhachev's win, his future, and even his place in the sport has spiraled into a huge wave of opinions from some of MMA's biggest names. St. Pierre was in attendance at Madison Square Garden and saw firsthand how Makhachev controlled Jack Della Maddalena over 5 rounds. Even though the fight went the distance, St. Pierre walked away amazed at how sharp and safe the Dagestani champion looked. A few fans and analysts complained because there wasn't a knockout or submission, but St. Pierre dismissed all that chatter. He felt the performance showed a deep understanding of fighting at the highest level. He also acknowledged that the victory wasn't a flawless runaway, yet emphasized that stepping up a weight class and defeating a reigning champion in their own division isn't something many fighters can do. To him, that difficulty alone made the performance special.
Unbelievable. I don't think he even took a punch. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A lot of people there will be, oh yeah, it was a decision. These people who says that, I'm sorry, because they don't know the art of fighting. They have no idea. They don't understand the art of fighting. His performance was freaking amazing. You know, like yeah, the fight, you know, was not a flawless victory with a crazy submission or knockout, but the way you're going up in a weight class and beat Jack Della Maddalena like he did is freaking hard, man.
This win marked Makhachev's jump into the history books as the newest two-division champion. Already known for a record-setting run at lightweight, he now added welterweight gold to his resume. And while some fans expected a finish, the scorecards were completely one-sided. All 3 judges gave Makhachev every round. Still, the online criticism didn't quiet down, leading several fighters to jump in with their own reactions. One of the more interesting responses came from Robert Whittaker, who gave his take on a hypothetical fight between Makhachev and St. Pierre. Fans have always wondered what would have happened if St. Pierre had faced Khabib Nurmagomedov during their primes, and with that fight never happening, attention has now shifted to Makhachev versus St. Pierre as a fantasy matchup. Whittaker broke down the idea in a way that surprised some people. He described St. Pierre as a fighter with a flexible style, someone who could dart in and out, mix karate-influenced striking with athletic movement, scramble when needed, and lean on strong grappling. Yet even with all those strengths, Whittaker said he leaned toward Makhachev. He felt that if the fight turned into long wrestling exchanges or relentless grappling sequences, Makhachev would come out ahead because his style is built for those moments.
Islam went straight for the calf kick, started doing some real damage to that leg. Early on, the wrestling was always going to be a big factor in this fight. Islam does what Islam does. The leg attacks just took Jack's foundation away, his grounding in that tight-knit boxing that he likes to use. It affected not only his movement when he was striking, but his defense, his backing up against cage, his sprawl ability, all of it. Not to say, though, Islam's timing was just sensational.
Perfect.
Sensational. It seemed like, even though Islam was like being very physical to get these takedowns, Jack was losing that battle of attrition, being on his back. You know, he had grimaces the entire time. The pressure of Islam must be something crazy. It is all the hype it's built up to be. It is just next level, much like Chimaev. They're just sticky fellas. Every time Islam would take Jack down, Jack was just getting gassed defending the submission attempts, trying to move him off him. And then when they got back to their feet or started the round again, his jabs just didn't have the pop and crispness that they needed to have. Whereas Islam looked much the same.
Paddy Pimblett also shared his thoughts on the new welterweight champion. He watched the UFC 322 main event like everyone else, and came away praising Makhachev heavily. In Paddy's view, the performance made it clear that Makhachev belongs in the conversation for the very best fighters in the world. He even said the Dagestani standout is one of the top fighters the sport has ever seen and should be considered the leading pound-for-pound athlete. Paddy spoke casually, saying that the win boosts the excitement across several divisions. He pointed out that lightweight has been the most thrilling division for more than a decade, but with Makhachev moving up and new contenders emerging at welterweight, the energy of both divisions is shifting. He named several welterweights who could be lining up for their shot at the new champion, fighters like Michael Morales, Carlos Prates, Ian Gary, and Shavkat Rakhmonov, all of whom bring different styles and big storylines. Pimblet also mentioned that Ilia Topuria wants to move up and challenge Makhachev, but with so many contenders waiting, that opportunity may not be coming anytime soon.
Islam looks different, that's weird. Just looks different. So takedown straight away. That looked easy for Islam, that takedown. Like, as soon as I seen him in the cage next to each other and seeing the size, I was like, yeah, Islam will be able to grapple him. I thought that Jack might be a bit too big for him, but he doesn't look like a lightweight fighting a welterweight, does it? Pound for pound #1 lot. Unbelievable performance. I think he goes down as one of the best ever, me, like, yeah. Yeah, he mentioned the White House, but I think he'll defend his belt before the White House. The White House is until July, is it? Let's see what happens, lad, you never know. Ilia's been saying he wants to go up and fight him, lad, but you've got other contenders there now. Morales, Prates, you've then got Ian Gary if he beats Bilal next week. Shavkat as well, who needs to come back. He's been the #1 contender for about a year. They're all exciting matchups for Islam at the welterweight division. At the moment, could be becoming more exciting than the lightweight division. I don't think any division has been more exciting than lightweight in over 10 years. Good times for the sport, like, you know what I mean? Some interesting fights, some boss matchups, but we're just going to have to see what happens, aren't we, over the coming months.
Not everyone was so quick to crown Makhachev as one of the sport's greatest, though. Nate Diaz stepped in with the kind of cutting perspective he's known for. Diaz didn't deny that Makhachev is talented, but he didn't want people rushing to call him the best ever. To Diaz, greatness is something proved through unforgettable fights and legendary moments, and he feels Makhachev still needs more of those before being placed in the same category as the sport's all-time icons. Diaz used BJ Penn as an example of true lightweight greatness, reminding fans how Penn moved up to beat respected welterweights during his prime and built a legacy that lasted through generations. Diaz insisted that while Makhachev's achievements are impressive, they don't yet match the kind of career-defining, can't-miss energy that older fans lived through. He admitted that Makhachev and Khabib win dominantly, but he also said their wrestling-heavy strategies don't always create the kind of excitement he personally looks for when deciding who deserves the GOAT label. Diaz also showed interest in Ilia Topuria, explaining that Topuria brings excitement, knockout power, and a fighting style that feels dangerous every time he steps into the cage.
Who's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter right now in the UFC?
Who's in the UFC right now? John Jones for sure.
What about Islam?
They just throw that shit. They just throw shit out like that. He's been there for like 2 minutes and he ain't beat nobody that's great.
Oh.
And they think I'm hating, but I'm like, that's because we got our differences, but there's shit that I seen that I'll just remember forever. So when you get that shit like that, and you got whatever Islam did, and it's like that don't even match. Like I ain't seen nothing from them motherfuckers at all. I can't even remember anything but getting bored in his all them fools' last fight.
Even with all the outside opinions flying around, Makhachev remained steady in his own responses. After the fight, he spoke to Russian media about who he might defend his welterweight title against first. He made it clear that several contenders are in the mix, and the UFC will likely choose the next challenger soon. He did mention Ian Gary and Shavkat Rakhmonov specifically, but his comments showed that he wasn't overly impressed or overly invested in any one option. When it came to Gary, he didn't seem blown away by his recent performance against Bilal Muhammad, although he acknowledged Gary as a talented fighter. Gary has been loudly pushing a storyline that frames him as the next big superstar, similar to past Irish icons, and he used his win in Qatar to call out the new welterweight champion. But Makhachev didn't show any intimidation or urgency to respond to the hype.
He told to us with this victory, guys, it's very easy. You guys can do it too, you know. And for next year, the goal to take 2 belts, not 3rd belts. 3rd belts to the gym, inshallah, to the team, and we're gonna work for that. A lot. We're gonna work, and for us, for team, for Abdulmanap, students, for our country, it's a good moment. The historical moment in MMA, you know, and alhamdulillah, thank God.
Shavkat Rakhmonov's situation was different. Makhachev respected him as a real contender, but pointed out that Rakhmonov has been inactive for more than a year due to injuries. Makhachev suggested that title challengers shouldn't be inactive for too long, though he didn't rule out the matchup if Rakhmonov returns ready and the UFC pushes for it. The way he phrased it showed that he's open to defending his belt against almost anyone, but he also wants challengers to stay active and prove they're ready.
We just got a stat on who Islam Makhachev is fighting next. Yeah, check this out.
Okay.
Carlos Prates plus 1,000. Bilal Muhammad plus 900. Ilya Topuria plus 400. Shavkat plus 350. Ian Gary plus 325. Michael Morales plus 300. Kamaru Usman at the lead plus 225.
Hey, it is. Listen, I've said my piece. He said his piece. It's up to the company at this point.
Well, I think the only thing that you do is you get ready. The more time that you have, strategically, tactically, if you do take this fight, it's great. You know, whatever.
A lot of fans have been dreaming about a champion versus champion super fight between Makhachev and Ilya Topuria. Both men now hold belts in 2 divisions, so on paper, it's the kind of clash that the UFC could headline a major event with, but Makhachev quickly poured cold water on one part of the fantasy. He said dropping back down to 155 pounds would take a huge toll on his body. He used to make the cut earlier in his career, but now that he's older and competing at higher stakes, he said it isn't worth risking his health unless the offer is enormous. Weight cuts get harder with age, and he didn't hide the fact that going back down would take a heavy physical toll. Topuria has said he'd be willing to move up and meet him at welterweight, so the possibility still exists. Even Colby Covington chimed in recently, saying he believes Topuria's style could challenge Makhachev in interesting ways. But for the moment, the matchup sits somewhere in the middle. Possible, tempting, but not close.
Speaking of Islam, who do you think is most deserving to fight him next?
I want to see the Topuria fight. Everybody wants to see the Topuria fight. I think it needs to happen. You know, whether they do it at welterweight or they do it at lightweight, that fight needs to happen. We need to settle it. And I think that Ilya will be a toughest fight because he has that low center of gravity, so he's a lot shorter. So it's going to be harder to take him down and hold him down. So he's got good jiu-jitsu. I see him getting back to the feet, and obviously he's one of the biggest punchers the UFC's ever seen. So I'd like to see Ilya get his hands on him and knock him out.
On the other side of this storyline is the growing tension between Topuria and Makhachev's team. The beef heated up even more after a wild scene involving Dylan Danis during UFC 322's fight week. Danis got into a fight in the crowd with Makhachev's teammates, including Magomed Zainikov, widely known online as John Pork. Danis ended up on the losing end of that altercation, and UFC CEO Dana White responded by banning him permanently from the promotion. Days later, Makhachev's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, commented on the situation and compared Topuria's online behavior to Denis. Abdelaziz said Topuria should be careful because constantly taunting people online can eventually spill over into real-life confrontations. He said he's met Topuria before and found him likable, but in his opinion, Topuria has fallen into the trap of trying to build fame through trash talk before defending a title even once. Abdelaziz encouraged him to focus on building his own career and stacking accomplishments the way Makhachev did. He warned that fighters who follow the path of endless online trolling tend to eventually run into the same people they insult, just like Danis did.
Should Ilya Topuria and Michael Morales be in the same weight class?
Ilya Topuria taking on Islam Makhachev. Is it at 155 or is it at 170?
It's unfair at 170. At no point in UFC history should Ilya Topuria and Michael Morales be in the same weight class. The difference would be too much. With Makhachev, it's not limbs, it's the back. When he's on top, you can see his back. Or maybe Ilya could listen, doubting Ilya has become like a loser's profession, and maybe he'll get in Makhachev's head a little bit as well. JDM was kind of just sort of staying calm in the build-up. You know, someone will ask him a long-winded question and he'll go, yeah, we'll see. And that's it.
With all this drama swirling, the main storyline remains clear. Makhachev became the welterweight champion by beating Jack Della Maddalena decisively, and that achievement alone has reshaped multiple divisions. He also defended the lightweight belt 4 times before vacating it, giving him one of the best streaks in UFC history. He is now tied with Anderson Silva for the longest winning streak in the UFC at 16 fights. And even though some fans debate his excitement level or style preference, there is no denying that he has reached a rare level of dominance. With the welterweight division now more crowded than ever, his next move will impact the 170 and 155-pound weight classes for the foreseeable future.
Ислам, если UFC тебя попросят провести бой с Ильей Топури в 70 килограмм, согласишься или теперь только 77?
70, я думаю, это должно быть слишком хорошее предложение, чтобы я опять начал вес гонять 70 килограмм, так как я уже не молодой тоже в этом виде спорта, и каждая весогонка забирает тоже годы здоровья, и уже не так легко, как раньше вес гонять.
For the moment, all the potential contenders, Gary, Rachmanov, Morales, Prates, Gary again if he stacks wins, and even Topuria, stand in line waiting for the UFC to make the call. Makhachev doesn't look worried. Whether the noise comes from critics, super fight discussions, fantasy matchups, bans, warnings, or heated rivalries, he seems to approach everything the same way, with calm confidence, complete focus, and absolutely no rush. He has become the fighter everyone wants to face, but also the one everyone knows they must prepare for with extreme caution.